Traders and investors, thanks for tuning in to the closing print. Josh Walter here, filling in for Joel. We're going to bring on Web Begole, but before we do, we're going to take a look at the futures. So S&P, we're now red on the day. We were green for so long, but we're currently down about 0.15% at 45.36. The dollar, that's up about 0.2% at 99.61, back under that $100 level there. We want to get that back up there. We'll see how that goes next week. And the bonds, those are down by about 0.5%, still sitting above 126, currently at 126.10. The crude oil down about 2% at 75.34 currently. And over to gold, that's down about 0.1% at 1961, still underneath that $2,000 level. We'll see where that ends up as well. Silver going the other way, up about 0.9% at 25.17. And Bitcoin, that's down about 5%, just trailing down over the last bit here after, well, we'll get to some news in the crypto world, but it's currently trading at 30,158. So I'll stop my screen share and bring on Web. Hey, Web, how are you?
Hello, thanks for having me on. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Thanks for coming on. So Web, for those of you who don't know, Web Begole is the co-founder and chief technology officer of Market Reader. So we'll be getting into that. But first, I'd like to ask, what's your experience in trading?
Yeah, I have a kind of a unique background in my life. I have a triple major in theater, photography, and computer science. And I produced theater here in New York for about 5 years. And then I quit and got into trading in about 2014. Started trading unusual option activity, options, futures, etc. Start getting really into technical analysis, started building my own technical analysis methods. I worked with someone who you might know, Christian Fromhertz. He worked moderating a trading room together, trading futures and options and equities. And then in 2016, I left that and I joined my co-founder of Market Reader, Jens Nordvig. We established a company called Exante Data. We were building tools for the world's leading institutions, helping them with macroeconomic risks and capital flows, et cetera. And then last year, we decided to start together. We started Market Reader, which is more focused on answering why things are moving across the market. And it's been a lot of work, a lot of fun, and we're at a point of having a platform that I can kind of demo. So we'll get to that in this session.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it sounds super interesting. That's quite a nice summary of your experience there from
Sure.
theater to Market Reader. So there you go. So yeah, we have a lot of news today. I mean, we might as well start off. I mean, healthcare was big today. We had United Health. That news broke this morning. Of course, it was earnings. I mean, they're currently up, yeah, about 7.5% here. All the way at 41. So as I understand it, Market Reader, like it helps you digest news. Like what, tell me how it can help you with UNH.
That's right. So as soon as things happen in the market, as soon as the stock is moving, our system goes out and looks at all the different things that could be causing it, from news headlines, correlated assets, unusual flows, et cetera, and then tries to put together an explanation for why that stock is moving as quickly as possible. And we're looking at in real time across about 11,000 assets right now. We're going to expand. Currently, it's just the U.S. equity market, but we're going to expand to like cryptos, currencies, commodities, et cetera, and even global assets eventually. But yeah, this morning, we had the UNH earnings. So should I just share my screen? Is that all right?
Yeah, let's get right to it. Let's see your screen.
Do a little bit of a demo here for everybody. So one thing I like to do, and as you were going through some of your charts there, I like to start in the mornings with kind of a global macro view of what's going on in the markets. And what you could see, as you mentioned already, healthcare is showing up green. What we do is that we have a profile for what's usual for all of these ETFs, these macro focused ETFs, and we'll color them based on how unusual the move is. So this bright green in XLV says there's a lot going on in the healthcare sector today. So I can open that up.
Yeah.
Yep. I can open that up and we get some written explanation. I'll come back to that in a minute, but I can look at the ETF constituents. And of course, we have United Health Group right off the bat with their earnings. So we get these summaries that are written. These cards do a bit of a headline writing about what's going on. We can see the return for UNH today is in the 99th percentile of returns. So really unusual, big up move for this. Like if you have another stock that might be a bit more volatile, a 20% move might not be anything to write home about, but it's certainly a 7% move or an 8% move in UNH today is something to talk about. And our system goes and looks and says, okay, I'm scrolling fast here, but we have all these different explanations. First, we see what news is coming across the news wires. We look at articles that are being broadly shared across the internet, across social media, et cetera. We can see that it has unusual share of market volume today, so high volume. We also have the University of Michigan consumer sentiment came out as well, and the earnings itself. And all of this is summarized by OpenAI's ChatGPT, et cetera. But really, when we started conceiving of Market Reader, ChatGPT was not something we were planning on. We just wanted to bring sophisticated, enterprise institutional grade analysis of why a stock might be moving, the way you go about answering that question in the most programmatic way, the ways that we know how to do it. And then we realized as ChatGPT came on board that we could feed ChatGPT our analysis and it could summarize it in ways that makes it easy for everyone to understand. And that's what we're doing here, all automatically. And of course, across the entire market, all in real time. One of the really cool things that I love about it is maybe you have Humana in your portfolio and that's the only healthcare stock maybe you have. And you're wondering, well, what's going on with it today? It's up. It's again 97th percentile of an up move today for Humana. I'm wondering what's going on. Our system automatically says it's moving in sympathy with United Health Group. It can detect the correlation between the two and that the news is going on over there. We also look for anything else that's going on in Humana. It looks like there's a Morgan Stanley maintained overweight. Et cetera, et cetera. Basically, anything that there is to pick up on Humana, we're going to pick it up and we're going to summarize it all in there.
Okay,
and
so in that right hand section there, so those are already all the summarized articles that like Chat GPT couldn't press. Like, is that
that's right?
Is that okay?
That's right. So first we have all these different things that we look at, like I was saying. So we look at headline news, social media, articles that are shared across the internet, and we summarize those in isolation. So that's all these different sections here. And then we also, at the end, we do a grand summary of all of it. And we also condense that down to just a short sentence on the card to get you going. So if you just want to see broadly overview what's going on in the healthcare sector, it's very quick to just read these like one sentence explanations, these kind of headlines, but you can always drill down further and get more information.
Yeah. Well, I see there like the Cigna Group, it has noted, it's responding to positive news from United Health. So I guess when you come into this morning, I'm assuming it has pre-market data as well. Is that
That's right?
Correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So you come in this morning and maybe you're seeing United Health is popping up, and at that time, is it already picking up on the other healthcare sympathy plays there?
That's right. As soon as they start moving, we're going to pick it up. We're really analyzing, first identifying these are the things that are moving unusually. Then we go and look for why it's moving. What's great about that is it filters out a lot of noise. You might have a news feed or of many different kinds, right? We all have our news feed that help us trade every day, but it can often get very noisy. You never know what headline is actually relevant until you get a bit of experience. You watch that stock for a while, you know what's relevant to that stock. All of this is done automatically. So it's not necessarily that we're creating content or anything that is bespoke, like you could never figure this out on your own, but it's really hard to do at scale, like to do for all stocks in real time, to get those cross links across the entire market, and to have it presented in a way that's quick to catch. One thing I'll bring up today, like, we catch it as it happens. This happened. This news came across, breaking news at 1:40 p.m. here Eastern in Western Digital. we had a pop on a merger agreement getting close in August. So our system picked that up, picked up the headline that moved the stock and explained why it's moving right away. So I get alerted to that. I can create watch lists for myself or screeners or whatever to really focus in on only getting alerted on stocks that I care about.
Okay. So
Yeah.
with that Western Digital alert,
Mhm.
do you get an email or do you have to just be in the app here?
Right now, you have to be in the app. We are
Yeah.
absolutely going to add emails, hopefully even like text messages, etc. Our goal is, and we're making really great headway, having that filtered news that I was talking about. The real power in that is that when we do give you an alert, it's worth knowing. You're not going to get alert overload, right? Where you get alerted, it's like, okay, it's unusual volume, but meh, that's not really interesting for me. You start ignoring your alerts. We're going to alert you with explanations when it's important, that kind of a thing.
Right. Okay. Okay. So the news on WDC today, it was the potential merger with Kioxia.
Yep,
Did I read that right? Okay.
that's right. Yep.
Okay. And does it so you get the alert and whatnot, and then what's the next sort of step? Or how would you trade the
Yeah.
news?
So
Does it give you any help with levels or or
it
anything
doesn't
like that?
it doesn't do technical analysis. Another
Yeah.
thing, we're not aiming to put a prediction out there as far as like, does that mean it's going to go up over the next 6 months or down? We're really focused just trying to explain why it is moving right now so that you can make an informed decision for whatever your trading system might be. Whether you're a technical or a fundamental trader, it's very much like if the market's going to price in new news, it's really important that you know what that new news is as quickly as
Yeah.
possible so you can make the right decisions, right? So I'll bring up Coinbase, for example.
Yeah.
Yesterday, right? We had the news from the SEC, where it wasn't news specifically about Coinbase. It was about Ripple, right? And the ruling that the securities of Ripple that were sold to institutions were going to be counted as securities, but those coins sold to the public would not be counted as securities. And we had a Coinbase started to move, and we picked that up at 11:40 a.m. You can see it continued to move for the rest of the day pretty significantly. Um, we had an overall summary for the day. So in this chart, we have the 10-minute bars. That's what we're looking at. We'll add more sophisticated charting in the future, but right now, the 10-minute bars, as well as an overarching summary for the whole day. And that gets updated throughout the day as new news comes in and that sort of thing. So you can really stay up to date about what's happening there. So one thing that I was thinking about with Coinbase yesterday when the news hit was, well, it's already moving significantly, but what's so hard sometimes in these crypto names is, well, what should I be trading if I want exposure to the crypto news and Ripple or whatever, right? What
Hmm.
equities are moving? One really cool thing that we can do is we can look at the industry peers for Coinbase. So we have CME, we get these exchanges, but actually that's not really helping me when I want the crypto exposure. Another cool thing that we do here, let me see, there's Coinbase, there it is, so I don't lose it, is that we can view correlated assets. So we can see things that are correlated to Coinbase and how they're moving today and what their correlation is. So we get Skybridge, Bitwise. So some of these ETFs are coming up, Block, A Firm, Buzz. Like we're getting like Riot and Mara and that sort of thing. I can filter this list down here to by market cap, or say I don't want ETFs, I just want correlated equities. So of course you get MicroStrategy,
Hmm.
Hive, Marathon here, et cetera, Riot. So
Yeah.
yesterday,
Oh, even Teledoc down, yeah, way down there even has some correlation. That's
that's right. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of cool that we can kind of just quickly see, well, what's correlated to this, and immediately see, well, what news is in those correlated assets, right? It's a pretty, I'm excited about this tool. It's a new feature that we just added, so I like playing with it. But as far as like how I trade this news as it comes up, is I might look for a correlated asset that hasn't started moving yet. And
Hmm.
yesterday, of course, they were all green, but some were less green than others in a percentile of its own move kind of basis, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that percentile, like Coinbase is right now in its, 36th percentile of return. Is
Right.
that all time return? Just,
Um,
daily?
Yeah, we look over the back over like the past year because we want to get
Mm,
really focused in how is the market reacting in a shorter time frame. But of course, you need to have as much data as you can get to really do that analysis properly. So that's kind of the window that we're looking at there.
yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean that's good to keep it current because yeah, stocks 20, 30 years ago moved a lot differently than they do,
That's right.
today. And you can kind of get that feel over the years with all the experience in the market.
That's right.
So that's Coinbase. What about banks? We've had a lot of bank earnings. We had JP
Yeah.
Morgan this morning, Citigroup, Wells Fargo.
So
What
I'll bring up JP Morgan chart here. So we had the news 6:40 a.m. The news of earnings being reported. The stock was going up. Looked this morning looked very positive for the banks.
It did for a second, yeah.
Yeah. And then as soon as the market opened around 9:30, it started selling off. So again, we have the overall summary that our system has put together. It was a very unusual move pre-market, as it was up a lot at the time, like 3% at the time, and then as the market opened, it became less unusual as it kind of pulled back into being near flat on the day. Another
Hmm.
thing we can do is that we can look at industry peers in JP Morgan, and we can see other stocks that are moving. I can try to, let's see. Yeah, everything again this morning was a lot hotter than it is now. Um,
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, we got the pop in the earnings release this morning.
mhm.
Uh, and then does it give you any sort of indication, or is there any news that might have, indicated, oh, hey, we might sell off here, or is that something that you know, still comes with more experience there?
Yeah, again, we're not trying to tell you like what we think the future holds for these things. Like we really want to
Mhm.
explain like what's going on, any way that we can find explanations and that sort of thing. So we did have the Michigan sentiment that came out, but also in the details of the earnings analysis itself, we'll put things like what's the forward guidance looking like, or what the news is talking about. So if people are in the news or on social media saying, yeah, it was really good earnings numbers, but XYZ, that could also lead to some analysis. But we're working on ways to summarize the overall macro picture and take
Mm.
all of these summaries from the individual stock basis and combine them into market narratives that are driving the overall market or overall sectors. That's a work in progress. We'll have that going hopefully very soon.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I guess not necessarily forward looking, but that at
Right.
least helps when you can, keep on seeing the headlines and you can then correlate, oh, hey, they had, great earnings, but I don't know, profits are down or their forecasts are down. And at least, you can get that pointed out to you and you can start to make that interpretation like, oh, okay, when earnings are good, it might pop up, but if the forward-looking statements are not as good, maybe it
That's
might
right.
not be
That's
so
right.
good to go along in the morning. But
I
yeah,
think you're pointing out something that's really valuable about this tool as well, right? Is because we're surfacing the headlines and we're connecting the market moves with those headlines, it leads to a bit of education. Like now you get a better understanding for how the market responds to certain kinds of news or certain kinds of things, and correlations. And again, even looking at the broad macro picture, you get a better understanding of how all of this works. So then when you're not looking at your screens and you see a bit of news out in the world, you have a better understanding of those things. So obviously, those of us been trading for a while, we have an innate after watching the screens forever. But this is another way, another tool to help people kind of get up to speed across many things that might be driving stocks. And
hmm
those interlinks between how stocks interact with each other, and how the macro picture interacts, is another aspect that I think is really, really helpful in the education of the individual investor.
hmm yeah, that's definitely useful. That's good to know. What about Citigroup? Did it sum up the news on that this morning? Because they're definitely not having a good day. They're having a worse day than JP Morgan, down about 4% now. I mean, they
That's
popped up a
right.
little bit. Yeah.
That's right. So we have a lot of stuff. You can see our spark chart down there pointing out exactly as you were just saying. Let's see.
Mhm.
Downward move may be influenced by sector-wide factors. Wells Fargo's positive had a correlation with Citigroup. Facing challenges in Wall Street unit has set aside more money for future loan losses amid economic concerns. So
Okay.
that's a pretty good highlight that again that it's going to be picking up from articles and news headlines and kind of saying, okay, this might be significant to the overall picture here.
Yeah, that's a great little headline there.
Yeah.
That's is I guess that's our pre-market prep exclusive here. We get that little summary here, although that news is out there. You can
That's right.
find the information there.
That's
So
right.
what about commodities here? I mean, the crude is as I said at the beginning of the show, down, about 2% today, but what's the news on crude?
Yeah, we are still working on a lot of our analysis in the commodities. So we do have some analysis,
Okay.
again, things that we are picking up from the news wires that are specifically talking about like USO, ETF, et cetera. So there's some stuff going on there, but we want to dig further. We want to be able to grab news that is from futures and the spot markets and stuff like that that isn't necessarily just tagged to the ETF and go broader. So it's a work in progress, but we're getting there. And again, all of this helps paint that picture that you kind of need. And when you're coming in the morning trying to figure out like what's the day going to be like today, I love looking at this screen because it draws my eye directly to what I need to know. We have, the energy sector as a whole today kind of
Hmm.
moving down along with oil, but we also had let's see if I bring up the constituents here.
Yeah,
uh,
that's handy.
right?
Yeah.
We can immediately see kind of what's going on in here. You have Exxon, of course, kind of going
Mhm.
down with the news yesterday with what was it, Dinar? Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah,
The
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
takeover, yeah, something like that. But it's really, yeah, to
Yeah.
your point, it's really handy to be able to just drill in immediately and see, okay, well, let's look at the news that's driving the individual names now, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's kind of interesting. I know even if you're just Googling, if you Google for the futures, you'll get a little bit of news. If you Google
right,
for the ETFs, such as XLE for energy, you'll get a little bit more. But if you Google for the individual names, well, then there's
right,
your actual news there. So
right,
it's
exactly.
nice to at least, grab some quick headlines there.
Exactly. And obviously there's a lot to digest in here as you like if you have Oxy in this case in your portfolio, you read through all of this. Eventually we want to add features such as like sending you newsletters like an email kind of newsletter about your watch list, the things in your portfolio, what's driving those and narratives. So it's all customized and really leveraging the AI tools that we have.
Yeah. So ChatGPT and AI had its big heyday. Well, at least in November, December, it started hitting, and people were signing up. So you guys were working on this before that. So how
That's right.
long have you been working on this tool?
So my co-founder Jens Nordvig and myself, we started really conceiving of this in late 19, early 2020. Then
Okay.
we focused, of course, on analysis of COVID, et cetera, but we picked up the ball again in 2021 and starting putting together the design of how to do this at scale. That's the really hard problem here is how to be analyzing all of this across the entire market in real time all the time with no hesitation so that we have an answer for you before you even ask the question about why that stock is moving. That's really the
Hmm.
hard part that we needed to tackle as a tech problem. But then we applied our institutional methods that we know and our experience about how to go about answering that question of why is that moving, all the different ways you might go about answering that question. There's still plenty more ways that we're going to incorporate. It's a very modular system that allows us to scale out very easily and add new analysis and tweak analysis. And then in the end, yeah, like as you mentioned, like then when this chat GPT stuff, and it's very powerful, but it's prone to hallucination, right? Like that's the biggest problem. You can't
Yeah.
just throw at the market and ask it to explain to you what's going on. what's great about the way that we approach this, right, is that we do all the sophisticated analysis the way that we know and trust to be accurate. Then we say, don't use anything else, only summarize what we give you, right? And we're analyzing things in a very sophisticated way, like ways that maybe your average individual investor might not really be aware of, or kind of used to how to do maybe correlation analysis or something like that, or any kind of advanced thing. What's really great about ChatGPT is that we can boil that down. So in the summary, you don't need to learn all of the maybe even proprietary ways that we analyze stocks to answer the question of why it's moving. You just want the conclusion, and we can kind of deliver that and give supporting evidence. But that's really our focus, and ChatGPT allows us to do that very well. So we really minimize hallucinations because we're just saying, make this easy to understand. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we really want, is to make things easy to understand.
Right. That's what we need.
Yeah.
When the market's moving, you just need to know why as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And that's what we're really leveraging it to be able to do as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Would we be able to check out maybe the real estate sector? I don't know if we can check
Okay.
out like XLRE or something like that. We got,
Yeah. So
some home builders and
well,
REITs.
I'll just bring up XLRE.
Yeah. See what the news is on there. Yeah.
Stock O has a negative return. Let's look at the constituents here. Oh, not many constituents according to this system.
Okay, putting you on the spot there with
yeah.
with this. I mean it's a work in progress, right? And
that's right.
Yeah, and there's
Zillow, maybe
there's more coming. Yeah, Zillow's been having its move.
Is there another name maybe we could try in the real estate sector?
In the real estate sector, I mean, we could, let's see what's been moving in the real estate sector here. I mean, chat, if you have any suggestions for larger symbols, but I mean, we can get to that
sure
in a sec here.
Sure.
So you mentioned that you're working on getting like a macro summary.
Yes.
But what do you have so far? Is there anything that can sum up, even the SPY or something like that? That would point out some news on that?
So when the SPY is moving unusually, when we had CPI print, stuff like that, we are definitely summarizing that as being significant. When sometimes when a stock is moving just because the broad market is moving, we're able to identify that. Like if we find nothing else in an individual stock, we can identify that, it's mostly it's moving with its sector or it's moving with the broad market. What we're working on, and it's still a work in progress, is being able to basically take the view that I'm showing you here again, where we can kind of see the colors guiding our eye to the most unusual things here, and summarizing what's driving those things and what's the overall picture today and that sort of thing. So it's still a work in progress. We hope to have that in the next month or two, but that's kind of where we're going. Okay. At the moment, it's more that we do those summaries on an individual ETF basis or individual stock basis.
Right. Okay. Can we take a stab at another symbol here? PLD.
PLD.
Yeah. Thanks Spielberg for pointing that out. It's at least
I don't seem to have PLD in here. Is that
okay? Well, that's no problem. Any let's see here. PSA.
PSA?
No.
Are these small stocks? I don't know. Or we could be prone to bugs. We're still early in our development. This is very early release I'm giving you guys here.
Yeah, that's no problem. We're putting the system to the test there.
Sure. Yeah, PSA is certainly not small. I'm not quite sure why it's not coming up for us.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, we have earnings coming up next week, and I mean, Bank of America and Charles Schwab, Morgan Stanley as well on Tuesday. Is there anything that would maybe pop up ahead of time here?
At the moment, we aren't looking at ahead of time. I think that is something that we are looking into. We're trying to, build confidence. There's something that all of us as traders kind of know, right? If something has earnings, maybe Tesla has earnings or Apple has earnings or what have you, there could be a run up into earnings. And it's about
Mhm.
building that confidence that that's actually what's happening here and it's not something else. So that's the process we're working on as far as when we're going to start highlighting upcoming events as being significant to the current move. But really, we're just focusing right now on what's going on today. Another thing that we're going to do, actually, now that I mentioned that, is that we want to expand. Right now, everything that you're seeing on these cards are summaries for what's going on today, what's moving the stock today. But we are working on adding another analysis where we can aggregate up to what's been moving the stock for the week and what's been moving the stock this month or this quarter, the narratives that have been driving these things. So we can basically take what our summaries of the daily and know what has really been moving the stock and then extrapolate that up and say, okay, these are the things that have been significant. Again, filtering out that noise and filtering out anything that might have come out but wasn't really moving the stock and wasn't being quote unquote changing the pricing in effects.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be great. Well, we have crossed the close and print there.
Oh wow.
The S&P's closed down about 0.14% here at 45.3925 in the E-minis there. So that'll do it for our show today. Thanks, Webb, for showing us that great demo. I know we put you on the spot there, taking a look at some
We
smaller
tried. We
stocks, but
tried. It's early
yeah,
days. We're working on it. It's in very much in beta, if I may. If anyone is
yeah,
interested in getting onto the beta or interested in checking it out, come to marketreader.com/beta. Sign up for the early access list, and we'll give you more of a demo too.
yeah, perfect. All right, well, thanks everybody. Make sure to tune in Monday. We'll have Dennis Dick on the closing print, so that'll be a fun show. And otherwise, have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks all.
Thanks.